I happened to sew this pattern on the go. So I purchased this pattern in Indiana. I purchased the fabric in Indiana, and I made this complete garment in Indiana probably in about a week. I wanted to share some tips with you for sewing on the go. And if you have any, you can share them with me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Make life easy for us sewists and dressmakers. So let's get to it. Hey, it's Terry, Virginia's daughter, and today I'm going to be talking about New Look 6582. Is this not the cutest pattern? I'm gonna make this again. I'm gonna start off by saying this is a key. Like many of you, I took full advantage of the New Look sale at Hobby Lobby, where patterns went from $6.59 to 99 cents, which is about an 85% discount, if you will. Who can resist that, right? The last set of patterns I got probably about 3 weeks ago. So sometime in April, so between April, May, and June. So let's say over the last 3 months, I purchased 40 patterns. And I have made 4 of them.
New Look patterns are the stuff.
Like, I didn't realize these patterns were this well drafted. I like the amount of ease that's in it. I would say prior to purchasing these patterns, I probably had less than 10 New Look, probably less than 5 to be honest, in my stash. So I've made this one that I'm going to talk about today, that I'm actually wearing, the top 2, not the bottoms. I've made this one. I've made this one, and this one is on my dress form. I just have to put the buttons on for this one. And yeah, so look at me. Look at me.
Do you really want to see all 40 patterns that I got? You probably don't.
But let me just tell you, these are in my queue.
New Look 6616. New Look 6866.
I've already trimmed this pattern, so this one is about ready to go.
New Look 6458.
My son brought some fabric back for me from Spain, and so I'm gonna make this out of that.
New Look 6710.
Just the skirt. I love the jacket, but I'd wait till the fall or winter for that.
New Look 6491. New Look 6677. New Look 6554. New Look 6668.
And New Look 6736. Now, let's see. That's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
This could be a make 9 for the summer, if there is such a thing. I don't know. But that's pretty ambitious, yeah. Well, you got to have your sights set on something. Let's talk about this pattern. Where is it at? First thing that I recommend is that you plan ahead. By me purchasing all the fabric at the same, fabric, pattern, everything all together in one trip, even in that I had to plan what I was going to do. So I made sure I had the elastic that I needed, which is the only thing I needed. I already had interfacing because when I traveled, I took those things with me. Even though this all happened within the span of a week, there was some planning that I had to do that took place. I think that was part of the success of me being able to finish it in about a week. I also completed a jumpsuit in Indiana before, and I planned that out. So I took everything with me that I needed to complete that project on the go. The second thing I recommend is to take those items that are essential. Needles, threads, scissors, seam ripper, tape measure, knitting gauge. I mean, whatever you use mainly in your, you're always touching when you're sewing. So you take that with you because you know you're going to use those items. One thing that I had to add recently is my cone thread holder. So I got stuck with that one time. I ended up putting it in a jar, like in a big mason jar. I made it work. Things that you use all the time that you might need for any project. The next thing I would say is, since you are outside of your dedicated workspace, organize a workspace wherever you're at. So I would sew at the dining table during the day. By the time the family came home, it was all packed up. And there was a small corner that I would just put the sewing machine in the box. And then I would carry my stuff to my room and then just bring it out every day. So that got to be a routine and a habit that led to success. The reason I chose the dining area too was because it's well lit. You know, there are certain areas in the house that's not as lit, but there's a huge window in the front of the dining room. So, you know, you still want to be able to be comfortable when you're sewing away from your dedicated sewing space, which you're comfortable in, right? Like, who else, you know, sews in barely nothing when you're sewing? I mean, you know. You know, the one thing that I do recommend is that you document the progress, because then you can look back and see, I did, but I can't find the paper. I kept a few notes, like for this particular outfit. I know that I cut it out one day, I trimmed it one day, cut it out the next day, and started sewing the next day, and I think I was done in about 2 days. So I'm gonna say it probably took me about 5 days to make it. What I didn't want to do is take time away from the family. So I just worked on it when I could. I'm going to be very good about documenting that next time, because I'm interested in seeing how I do. I almost sew better when I'm away, to be honest with you, because, you know, the distractions are few. I think this project could be made, you know, in a couple of days. I mean, depending on how much time you have to devote to it, it is not a difficult project at all, and it yields great results. I only sewed, you know, a certain amount of hours a day, maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. So if you have enough time to devote to it, you could probably make this in a day. 2 days to be sure. Top one day, pants the next day, you know, without rushing, and do a very good job. Have a well-made, well-sewn garment. Yeah, I would say so. When you're sewing on the go, you really do have to be organized. And I'm not the most organized person in the world, but I know when to be organized. You know, I end up carrying about, so last time I traveled, I had a bag for all the sewing supplies. I had a bag for fabric. So it was a couple of bags, but everything was organized, you know, so I think that helps. And I will say that I did find myself once or twice, because I've made several garments out of town, going to Joann Fabrics. Luckily and thankfully, it's like right around the corner. Like, I could walk there, to be honest. So, yeah. This is an easy pattern. It doesn't say that on the front, but it's easy. But this actual pattern has enough details to be elegant yet simple at the same time. It has a keyhole neck with a tie here that you can see. You can see my front facing here. I stitch my front facing. I don't think it calls for that on the pattern, but I don't like my front facing moving all around, so I stitch mine. It has elasticized sleeves, bust darts, of course, and it has a shirt tail type hem, which I also like. So that top is just cute. Simple details, yet elegant. The pants, they have an elasticized waist, and that slit. It's been a long time since I've worn pants with a slit that high in them, and I'm like, do I like it or not? But I think I do. So I don't know, maybe I would make the next one, you know, without the slit. I don't know, it just depends. I do want to try and play with some mixed prints, like mixing some prints, you know, with the top and bottom. And it has this little bag too that you can make if you want to. The pattern, it ranges in size from 10 to 18. I made the 18 because I wanted it to be oversized. And it's oversized, but not sloppy. You know what I mean? It feels good. The pants has an ease of about 3.5 inches. The top has an ease of about 8 inches. So that lets you know how loose the pattern is and how, you know, how roomy it is. I mean, it's just, it is so cute. The only notions that you need other than thread is elastic. That's it. For the bag, you would need a zipper and cording for piping, metal binder rings. So for the bag, you need quite a bit more, even as small as it is. I ended up shortening the sleeves, the bodice, and the pants. So if I'm 5'2", so if you're on the short side, you might want to consider that when you're making this pattern. The fabric is, let me find this receipt. I got the fabric at Joann Fabrics. Now, Joann Fabrics at that time, it was an additional 25% off of clearance. So this is a lightweight, like linen type fabric, like super, super lightweight. I just love it. And it was $6.97 a yard, I think. Got all these receipts. It's got to be one of them. Okay, yes. It's a toasted almond, white large polka dot. It was $6.97. I don't know what the original price was. And I got an additional 25% off of it. I also got end of bulk price, but I'll tell you what happened to my delight. Normally end of bulk means anything less than a yard. But for some reason, the associate gave me the last yard and some, yard and 3/8. Altogether, this fabric cost, let's see, $19.27. I mean, you cannot beat that. I was so delighted. As a matter of fact, I purchased some last chance fabric at the same time that I purchased this. It was 70% off, right? Now it's 60. I went back in the local store here, I'm back home, and it's like 60% off. And I'm like,
Wait a minute. Can you do that? Like, once it's been 70, can you go back to 60? So get it while you can.
I highly recommend this pattern if you don't have it and you can still get it. Now, what I did realize is that, you know, at the height of the sale for these new look patterns, it was in the fabric area. But they've since moved the patterns to like a clearance section where there's other stuff, not just the sewing area. So I probably will always tiptoe back to clearance and Hobby Lobby, different stores that I go to, you know, to see what's left. I would pay $6.59 for this pattern. But yeah, that's all I have. Do you have it? Let me know if you have this pattern. Have you made it? Do you plan on making it? And tell me what you think about it. Hey, listen, thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me for this time. Be creative, happy sewing, and until next time, take care.